Hello everyone and welcome to today's video where we will try to solve the mystery where we can actually put our saved money or our earned money. Most of the people living here in Sweden have some kind of bank account which when they have worked they will get their salary put into that bank account and therefore they can do something after with that money, if that's saving, if that's buying new stock, if that's buying real estate or even candy for all of it. It's not just candy now we're gonna focus about, are we? What we are actually gonna focus about is the money we're gonna get right now, what we can do with it after. Maybe take some of it out and put it somewhere else. Who knows? I talked to some friend of mine and a really close friend of mine actually. We talked about economy and savings and all these kinds of things because I'm interested in it. What an accent! Interested in it. So anyway, we talked about it and what I actually heard was something that I was a little bit surprised about, and that is that he has a bank account. Great, I know that, but he has a bank account with saving interest of 0.2%. 0.2%. So I felt I had to do this video to teach my friend and you guys that if you actually save your money at an account which have less than 2% interest rate, you're actually not saving your money, you're decreasing your money. What? And that isn't a good thing. But you may scratch your head and think,
well, isn't interest rate a good thing? I mean, 0.2% is better than nothing, right?
And yes, that is true. 0.2% is way better than nothing, but it's far from good. So if you don't know how interest rates work, let's say for an example that you have $1,000 that you can borrow out to anyone, and that anyone is coming right to you and ask you if he can borrow your money. And you say yes, and with that he also have to pay you a 1% interest, which means the next month he's gonna pay you back your $1,000 which he originally borrowed. He also have to pay you 1% interest, which means 1% of that $1,000. So he has to pay you back $1,010 when you originally just borrowed him $1,000. Which means he gotta borrow your money and do whatever he likes with it, and you got your money back with a little bit of profit. It's the same principle here when you think about banks actually. You borrow money from them, and when you pay it back with interest. And the hard part here is, if you borrow money from a bank, if it's for a house, you maybe can get a rent of between 1 to 5%, depends on where you actually borrow your money. But if you borrow your money for like a TV, a sofa, some random stuff, the interest can go up to like 20%. It's ridiculous, the size of it.
That's what she said?
So interest is a good thing if it's actually higher than your inflation rate. America, for example, has usually had around 2 to 2.5% in inflation. Maybe now when they're gonna print trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars, the inflation is maybe gonna be a little bit higher, but we take 2% for now. That means if you just take your money, like $1,000 once again, put it on your couch, the next year you're gonna go back to get that money, that $1,000 will have lost 2% of its value. So instead of just saving on a 0.2% interest rate account, you have worked for your money, you have saved your money, and you want to grow your wealth. Well, then I'm gonna give you some tips here. So what are people doing when they try to save their money? Well, the most common way is actually that they save it on a bank. Oh, what a surprise! Whoa! They actually save it at a bank that is backed by the government, which means if something were to happen with that bank, example they go bankrupt or something else, and you can't get your money back because they don't have it anymore, the government can step in, take their place, and give you the money that you originally had. Example, if you lost $40,000, then you're gonna get your $40,000 back. And of course, for some of us, that is worth a lot. Maybe you will lose 1% of your yearly savings, but instead you have a safety net. And I totally understand people that feel that way. The real challenge here though is to smash the like button down below and also to find a bank which have a higher interest rate than 2%. So with a quick Google search I did, I found the banks here in Sweden had the highest interest rate of around 1.25% interest. Here in Sweden in 2019 we had an inflation of around 1.5%, which means we still would lose money if we put our money into that bank account. So even though I googled the best account that I could find on the internet right now in my country, and if I would put all my money into that savings account, I still would have lost money. So one thing that you can do if you want to trust the banks anyway and still be backed by your government is that you can have something called like a high yield savings account. The con here though is that you can't withdraw your money whenever you want. In a normal bank account you can withdraw 10 times a month without a question, but in the high yield savings account you can't even withdraw. The thing is here, I wouldn't want me to withdraw so many times a year because it's a savings account, not a spending account. It's a savings account maybe because you need to buy a new roof or you need to get a new car or something else, right? You don't buy a new roof 10 times a year. And now when I think of it, it's actually really smart that they have that account of roof. You can't withdraw more than 10 times or 8 or 5 or whatever you have on your account. And why that is because you will get reminded every time you withdraw that soon I can't withdraw no more without having a fee on my shoulders. And yes, that's right, every time you withdraw over the limit that I have put,
You will get a fee.
and we don't like fees. So we now went through the banks. And usually most of the people is saving their money some way or another at the bank. And that's also what we usually learn in school, that if you want to save your money, well, it's the bank you're gonna depend on. So we're now officially done with the banks, so let's put that thing aside. And we're gonna start with gold. So gold itself isn't something you just buy and sell and you save it for 3 months and after that you sell it again. You can, but if you actually want to save your money for long term, I would highly recommend gold instead of the banks. If you just want to save for 3 months or 6 months, a bank is a great alternative. But if you want to save for the longer run, then gold can be so much more lucrative. And what you do with gold is really simple. You buy it in the hopes of it going up in price more than the dollar does. So maybe after 20 years, when your children have grown up, you can give them the money that you have saved in order for them to have a good start at their life. And once again, you can, if you want, buy and sell gold as you want, or even sell it after 3 months and then buy it back in 1 week later and so on. I wouldn't do it because just of the tax struggle. I don't want to buy and sell 50 times a year and have to tax everything of it. It's just too much struggle. So why I even mentioning gold and why I mention it as a long-term saving is actually really simple. Because I made some calculations the other day, and if you compare the bank and the gold in the amount of what you can save and what you will get back in terms of your investment, it's huge. If you took your savings and put it into gold, I think it was 1974, and you took it out 2011, the increase would be a bit over 2,500% increased. I would love to hear if you actually have a bank that has a higher interest rate than that in that amount of time. So how can it come that gold is gaining a ridiculous amount of increase in that amount of year, but the fiat money does not? Well, I can explain it in this way. If you take dollar for an example once again, you can print as many dollars as you want. Right now, the banks is talking about printing trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars. I don't think we have any clue whatsoever or can even imagine how much value or money that is. That's inflation. The thing is with gold, you can't just print gold. You can't snap your fingers and suddenly you have a gold bar in your hand. It doesn't work like that. Gold has to be mined, and after a certain amount of time, it's gonna cost a lot because we have taken the gold on the surface, the easy gold to get. We have to dig deeper and deeper and harder to get gold. And at the end of the story, there will be no more gold on this earth. There's no way we can create more gold. That's why the value is increasing. More people are living on the planet, more people want the gold, but we can't get more gold fast enough. Then the price is going up. If more people want dollars otherwise, we can just print more and that's enough. And if you think it's hard to buy gold, it's not. What you will do is that you will open a bank account online, and there you can buy X amount of gold for X amount of money, and then you get something called a paper. It clearly says that you are an owner of this amount of gold, and gold itself is going to be stored deep down, locked down in the banks. So it will be on a complete safe environment and place. You don't have to worry people sticking their nose in and taking your gold. And this works for everything, such as tin, as copper, as silver, whatever. So let's talk about stocks and bonds and how you can save in these, and not just so much about investing. Of course you're gonna invest in them as well because you want your savings to grow, but this is more about saving and not investing. So what a stock is essentially ownership in a company. You buy yourself in to be an owner of that company. Let's say, for an example, you buy one stock of Amazon. Well, suddenly you are an owner of the Amazon as well as all the other that owns the stocks. And that's a good thing you can brag about at the bar down below in the town. And the stocks is about the same story as gold. You don't buy a stock if you want to save in order for you to take it out 3 months later. What you do when you buy a stock is that you buy it in order to hold it for a really long time. Maybe 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. You know, that kind of amount of time. When you save in the stock market, whatever you do, don't buy the low cap companies. You can, but I don't recommend it, because in 15 years time it's not a guarantee that that company is still gonna be here. Could still be the same for the big companies, but the chance that they are going bankrupt is a small chance. Let's say, for an example, Amazon, Coca-Cola, you have McDonald's, you know, the big stuff that has been around for tens or even hundreds of years. What we also can touch on is bonds and how they work. You can also save or invest in a bond, and what a bond is that actually the government or a company, they ask you for money in order for you to borrow to them so they can do whatever they want with that money and give it back to you with interest rate. So it's almost the same as the bank. Instead of you borrowing money from the bank, they borrowing money from you in order for you to get your interest rate back. And that's all for me today on how to save your money. There you go. I'm glad you listened to me. And if I missed anything, I would love to hear it down in the comments below. So the next time I'm gonna touch on this subject, I can take it up as well. And as always, if you hate me with passion, remember to subscribe to unsubscribe so you know I lost a subscriber today. Otherwise, if you like the contents, just press the subscribe button, the like button, and go into my page and see all the other videos that I'm posting. It's amazing. No, it's not amazing, but you know what I mean. So let's see each other next time, shall we?